I'm going to review the movies that I saw over the weekend. On Thursday, I saw Cold Storage. On Friday, I saw Crime 101. On Saturday, I saw Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die. And on Sunday, I saw Wuthering Heights. As with any review, this may contain spoilers. Cold Storage is a really fun film. It's a Liam Neeson film in a sense, where although he's the main character, he's not the center of the movie. He played more of a side character, nevertheless, his character was integral to the story. As a fan of Liam Neeson films, this was a nice change of pace. The main characters belong to Joe Keery, who plays Travis, and Georgina Campbell, who plays Naomi. Liam Neeson plays bioterror operative Robert. The story follows Travis and Naomi, who work as security for a self-storage company. Unbeknownst to them, underground of the facility is a government cold storage vault that houses an infectious fungus with the sole purpose of spreading. If the fungus infects a living organism, such as an animal or a human, it will eventually cause the body to burst, thus spreading the fungus. Travis and Naomi find an emergency number, and that's how Robert gets involved. He travels to the facility not only to stop the fungus, but also to prevent anyone who's infected from leaving the area. This movie is highly enjoyable, and Liam Neeson was good in it. This won't win any critical awards, but it was so much fun, and I was surprised by how much heart this movie had. The two main leads were extremely likable, and they had great chemistry. Overall, the movie is fun with a great cast. Crime 101 is an action crime story with interconnected characters who converge in the film's last third. It's an okay movie overall, but that interconnectedness of the story didn't always hold up well for me. At times, it felt as if the story was forcing puzzle pieces together, which I'll get to a bit later. Liam Hemsworth plays Mike, a thief who takes on jobs and does everything possible so that no one gets hurt. Mark Ruffalo plays Lou, a detective who notices a pattern and tries to predict the next heist. Halle Berry plays Sharon, a high-end insurance broker who later gets involved with both Mike and Lou, but not in a sexual way. I had three main issues with the story. One was minor, but it annoyed the crap out of me, and the other two were more integral to the story. The annoyance had to do with Chris Hemsworth's American accent. It was terrible. It had a weird, muffled tone to it. One of the bigger issues I had with the story had to do with Mike's crime handler, played by Nick Nolte. When Mike finds out that the handler betrays him and sends someone to follow him, he confronts the handler and even threatens him. However, after that scene, the handler didn't stop what he was doing, and Mike never did anything about it. Even though Mike was non-violent, it didn't sit right with me that he wouldn't do something to the handler. What that something is, I don't know, but something should have happened. The handler might have shown up once more in the story, but after that storyline was left unresolved. My biggest issue by far was the interconnectedness of some of the characters. For example, it was a bit too coincidental how Lou and Sharon ended up going to the same yoga class. This plays a major part in the story because now, after an incident, Sharon confides in Lou about her dealings with Mike, who just so happens to be the same person Lou's been looking for. There are four main characters in the story, played by Chris Hemsworth, Halle Berry, Mark Ruffalo, and Barry Keoghan, with side characters played by Monica Barbaro, Nick Nolte, and Corey Hawkins. The film did Corey Hawkins' character a bit dirty. When we first meet Corey Hawkins' character, we learn he's Lou's partner. He tells Lou that he was told to get a new partner because Lou is holding him back, but he says he rejected that suggestion. Later in the story, Corey Hawkins' character lies about a crucial detail in an attempted robbery, leaving Lou in a bind. Does Lou tell the truth or go with the lie? That felt contradictory to Corey Hawkins' character and what they talked about in the beginning and being loyal to his partner. Overall, the movie is okay with a few storyline decisions that I didn't particularly like. Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die is enjoyable, and I think a lot of people will love it. However, some of the decisions from the filmmakers prevented me from loving it as well. That being said, the last 10 to 15 minutes were great. What I loved about the story was Sam Rockwell's character, the man from the future. He was grounded and felt the most realistic of all the characters. So the story follows the man from the future who arrives at a diner and recruits a select few to help him change the course of history. He tells them that sometime in the future an AI takes over the world, causing the world's resources to run out and half the population dies. The mission is to go to the house where the AI was born, if you will. What I didn't love was how the filmmakers portrayed the real world. There's a world developed by AI, and then there's the real world. While the filmmakers were providing social commentary on the real world, it came across to me as over the top. It's one thing to be clever and use social commentary in a story, but it's another to be so much in your face about it. For me personally, it didn't work. Aside from my issues with the social commentary, the film also incorporated creatures that came out in the real world. The explanation was that it's unexplainable, and things things like this will appear. That kind of felt like a cop-out to me. One additional note, towards the middle of the story, it started to drag a bit and lost some steam. However, by the end, it regained its momentum, and the ending to me was the best part of the film. Overall, while I had my fair share of issues with the story, I enjoyed the movie. Wuthering Heights is meh. I'm coming from the perspective of someone who never read the book, so this review is judging the merits of the movie alone. Although after watching the film, I'm curious how the book reads. Does it read as an epic love story? Because to me, the movie was less of a love story and more of a showcase of cruelty. Comment down below if you read the book and what was your takeaway from the story. In the film, the story follows a young girl named Kathy, played by Margot Robbie, and a young boy whom her father brings home, who she names after her dead brother Heathcliff, played by Jacob Elordi. Living with them is a young girl named Nellie, played by Hong Chow, who is Kathy's paid companion. Kathy and Heathcliff become inseparable, with both falling in love with each other without expressing it. The timeline moves forward, and they are now young adults. A new wealthy neighbor arrives, and Kathy speaks of courting the new neighbor. This elicits jealousy from Heathcliff. One day, after much tension, they finally confess their love for each other. However, Kathy has accepted the neighbor's marriage proposal. Kathy confides in Nellie over the conflict she's dealing with. Marrying the wealthy neighbor is the easy solution, but if she chooses Heathcliff, it degrades her standing in society. However, her love for Heathcliff is too strong. All the while, Heathcliff overhears the conversation but leaves heartbroken shortly after hearing Kathy speak of the degradation if she chooses Heathcliff. He doesn't hear her profess her immense love for him. The movie moves forward once again. Kathy is married to the neighbor, and Heathcliff returns after 5 years since he left. Eventually, Kathy and Heathcliff rekindle their love and begin an affair. From all accounts, Kathy's husband is kind to her and gives her all she needs. However, Kathy's heart will always belong to Heathcliff. I don't want to spoil the rest of the story, but I do want to talk about what I meant by this being less of a story and more of a showcase of cruelty. Throughout the story, there are a lot of cruel remarks and sometimes physical harm. Often, those cruel remarks are towards the help. Nellie would bear the brunt of Kathy's cruelty both as a child and as an adult. Heathcliff, as an adult, becomes cruel to anyone who gets in the way of him being with Kathy. All this cruelty gets thrown back at them, and it becomes a vicious cycle. They are a product of their environment. Kathy's father was an alcoholic and a gambler and often treated those around him cruelly. So in a sense, the cruelty does make sense, but I felt there was more cruelty than love in the story. On a side note, I want to be like Heathcliff, go away for 5 years and come back wealthy with no explanation how I gained that wealth or how I'm maintaining it. Nice to be him. Overall, the movie was not my favorite, but that doesn't mean you wouldn't enjoy it. So those were my thoughts on this past weekend's films. What did you think of the movies? Leave a comment down below, subscribe, give the video a like, and see you in the next review.